What's up, Bears fans? Today I wanted to start the week off with some fresh mock drafts and talk about a couple of players I think really fit Ben Johnson's offense. Guys that really fit the mold of what Ben Johnson is looking for on offense. Guys like Iowa's running back Caleb Johnson and LSU tight end Mason Taylor. Caleb is a very similar runner to David Montgomery. He runs with power, vision, and patience, but he's a little bit faster than Monty. And I think Ben Johnson will really like him. But then I also wanted to talk about Mason Taylor. I haven't really heard this guy brought up much at all, but he fits the mold of a Sam Laporta type weapon on offense. He's a very similar player. He's actually a little bit taller. Laporta is 6'3, 245. Mason Taylor is 6'5, 250. Both are very athletic, can block, and catch the football. The first mock scenario I'm showing off, I landed Mason Taylor in round 3. If Taylor was on the board at pick 72, I think it would be a home run selection. I do think he's more likely going to be a round 2 pick, but this draft is very unpredictable. And this mock shows what I was able to do by waiting on a running back, landing Ollie Gordon in round 5 and grabbing potentially 5 future starters here. I really love this draft. But another scenario with Taylor falling to pick 72 has me grabbing 3 LSU players. After grabbing Kenneth Grant from Michigan at pick 10, I then landed another defensive lineman, edge rusher Braden Swinson in round 2, but then I drafted both Caleb Johnson and Mason Taylor. One of the reasons why I wanted to show off this mock draft is because I was able to land both of these guys that I deem perfect fits for Ben Johnson's offense. But let's go ahead and run a mock draft and see what we can come up with. Actually, not a bad first 9 picks here. As you see, Tyler Warren, Tet McMillan, and Ashton Genty went in the top 10. So did Will Campbell, leaving Armand Mimbu here as the top offensive prospect, the offensive tackle from Missouri. To me, right now, I'd be leaning between these players, though. James Pierce Jr., the edge out of Tennessee, Kenneth Grant, the defensive lineman out of Michigan, or if we wanted to grab the left tackle, Josh Simmons is on the board. I haven't really done too many mock drafts where I take a left tackle in the first round. It's something that I don't think is extremely likely, but I definitely have not ruled it out yet. Josh Simmons didn't work out at his pro day, but he did do some position drills and the bench press. He's a guy who I believe, if he didn't get hurt, could have potentially been a top 5 pick in this draft. So I'm going to go ahead and do a mock like this. We're grabbing Josh Simmons and continuing to add to this offensive line and ensure that this offensive line stays strong going forward. Zooming us down to round 2, we just miss out on Tyler Booker. He goes a pick before us. TJ Sanders as well. So we'll take a look at what's on the board here. I love Tyleik Williams, and I think grabbing a guy like Tyleik Williams in round 2 is one of my favorite scenarios heading into this draft. He's a personal favorite of mine. He did go down running his 40 at the Ohio State Pro Day, but if you guys missed my update on him, he's just fine. Apparently, it was just cramps, so Tyleik still is in range to be a day 2 selection. Checking out a couple other guys on the board I like. Nick Amanawore, if he falls, he's definitely a guy I'd be interested in. Same with Princely Umanmielen out of Ole Miss. Braden Swinson out of LSU. Quinshawn Judkins. A lot of players on the board here I really like. And with 2 safeties on the board, both Xavier Watts and Nick Amanawore, in this situation, I would take Tyleik Williams and then try to grab one of the safeties with my next pick. That's what I'm going to do here. Tyleik Williams. The Saints don't even take a safety. They take Jack Beck at wide receiver, and that leaves me a choice here. Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame or Nick Amanawore, the safety out of South Carolina. But also at this point in the draft, I have not grabbed an edge rusher yet as well. I've grabbed an offensive tackle and a defensive tackle. So this would be a tough decision here. You could take a running back like Quinshawn Judkins or Caleb Johnson. You could take a safety, Xavier Watts or Nick Amanawore, or you can take an edge rusher like Princely or Braden Swinson. Just because I haven't seen it much yet, I'm going to go ahead and take Nick Amanawore. I do think this is very unlikely here because this would be the rare situation where I don't grab an edge rusher in my first 3 picks, but we'll see if I'm still able to grab an edge rusher in round 3. Nick Emmanwori, the safety from South Carolina, welcome to Chicago. Now, this would be a dream come true. Any one of these 4 players at the top of the board here would be a perfect fit for the Bears. Quinshawn Judkins, obviously one of my favorite players in the draft. That would be 3 Ohio State players as well. If we wouldn't have grabbed Tyleik Williams, Alfred Collins would have made a ton of sense here as well. But I believe they're very similar players. They're both run stuffing nose tackle type prospects who have some pass rush upside. Now, Mason Taylor, this is a guy I've been talking about. I honestly think he's going to end up going in round 2, but this is a guy who, if he's there in round 3, he is a perfect fit for Ben Johnson. I'm going to be talking more about him leading up to the draft. Terrence Ferguson, another tight end option here on round 3 as well. And then the Purdue tackle, a guy who can go a guard here, is another guy that would have to be on the radar. Same with Jordan Burch. And he's actually the guy I'm eyeing here because we're in round 3 here and I have not grabbed an edge rusher. Quinshawn Judkins being on the board would be a gift, and I would probably run that pick to the podium. But listen, but I'm operating under the assumption that Quinshawn Judkins would not fall this far. And in that situation, I'd be choosing between Mason Taylor and Jordan Burch. I'm going to go ahead and grab Jordan Burch and continue adding to this defensive line. Tyleik Williams and Jordan Burch for the D line. I got a new safety and a new left tackle as well. And then I'm going to try to grab a running back in round 5. And this is where the board gets really, really muddied. There's a lot of running backs in this draft. A guy who I actually think is a sleeper is Kyle Managai from Rutgers. This is a guy who has all of the athletic traits to be really good. Marcus Yarns and Jordan James, both sleeper prospects as well. I tend to lean towards Ollie Gordon here. Ollie Gordon is a guy who, if he can get back to playing like he did in 2023, he's a guy who looked like a first round pick and actually has the upside to be one of the best running backs in this class. LaQuint Allen is another player I like. I do believe he's more of a committee back, though, a guy who could be a scat back and be part of a rotation. I'm going to actually switch it up in this one and take the Rutgers running back, and then you could even potentially still land Ollie Gordon if he fell to round 7. So this is my mock here, guys. Overall grade B plus. I don't ever care about the grades, but we landed Josh Simmons. This is a guy who could be our left tackle of the future. Come in and battle Braxton Jones to start off, and that would give you a fierce competition heading into training camp at left tackle because we still have Karan Amagaji as well. All 3 of those guys would be battling for left tackle and then the swing tackle role as well. Tyleik Williams would upgrade our run defense on the defensive line. Nick Emmanwori is a guy who profiles kind of like Kyle Hamilton did. He can move all over the defense. He can match up with guys in the slot. He can cover tight ends. He can cover running backs. This guy is a chess piece on defense. Jordan Burch would help as an edge rusher. And then I got a sleeper running back late as well. I do probably put more thoughts into these mocks than most people. I try to make them as realistic as possible, but this year's draft is so unpredictable, and these mock boards are always just a little bit off. But I want to start Monday off with some fresh mocks and new perspectives. I've been working on a lot of in-depth analytical videos, and I have a bunch of prospect breakdowns coming as well. I have one more analytical video coming tonight, but I released a couple this weekend as well. Check those out if you missed it. Please remember to hit that like button for me, guys. Stay tuned, and until next time, bear down.